Yeah.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Chasing Chips here with Josh and myself, Charles. Do we have any sponsors today?
No sponsors.
No
Not
sponsors
today. Maybe
tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. We're gonna work on it. We're gonna work on it for everybody. But both our teams got great wins over the weekend. The Clippers broke a losing streak, so I've been stressing for the past week about it. So I was trying to get the W, and you did not want to launch a podcast, which I am producing the podcast P, and be losing going into it. So I was very, very happy that Paul George had a great game.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no better way to promote a podcast than to play great on the court. And the people, come with smiles when the podcast comes out, instead of what it was looking like when we dropped the trailer. When we dropped the trailer, everybody was like, oh my gosh, why are you getting a podcast? You got to focus on the court. You can't be doing two things at once. What's one thing I don't like is other people telling people that you can't do two things. Like, everybody ain't got no other job other than the one they have. Like, you ain't got no side gig, then you doing it wrong. If you ain't got no side gig from your main job, you're doing it wrong. You know what I'm saying? Even if you're making millions of dollars in your one job, you still should have a side gig. But like I said, just happy the Clippers got it. Yeah, for sure. Hey, man, you might have to back up. You so close. Why are you so close to the... Yes, man.
My bad.
Editing.
I wish I had a mic like you, so I just want to get close to the mic, but I'll just hold it like this, like a goddamn jabroni. But it's fine. Let's
Amazon,
talk Suns.
Man.
Amazon.
Let's talk Suns. Before we get to that, I do want to say that usually my team gets a lot of smack talk because of we got two superstars and all this other stuff. But y'all, man, y'all won and people still won't leave y'all alone. Won't leave y'all alone.
It's unreal. It's almost like we lost a game on Sunday against the Mavs, I don't understand it. I wake up this morning and do the typical kind of run through, look at YouTube clips of, ESPN, Sports Center, all that shit, to understand what everyone's talking about, because I actually have an interest on some of these sports analysts and what they have to say. I'm constantly disappointed, though. Kendrick Perkins, for example, came out today and it's I was disappointed with how the Suns played and that they're no longer a championship contender in my mind. I'm like, dude, did we lose the game yesterday?
No.
I don't know what game everyone was watching, but it seemed like we played really well. So. Granted, we had a few guys that struggled, like Josh Okogie, who's our fifth player.
Yeah.
But it's just the amount of disrespect that Chris Paul gets in particular and Ayton gets as our third and fourth option. It's unreal. And I feel like we played pretty well. I feel like the Mavs played really well too. I mean, Luka Doncic, he got I think it was 7. It was 6 or 7 less free throws than our whole team. Oh, I'm sorry, 6. So he had 19 free throws and we had 25 free throws as a team. So it felt like every time he drove to the basket, he'd create contact. And he'd get the whistle, and I get it. He's Adam Silver's kid. He's Adam Silver's son. I understand why the favoritism is there, but it was getting a little ridiculous. But we still pulled out a win. We had to we had to reach into the bag of, who's coming off the bench to see who would pick it up. We thought that Josh Okogie was playing really well. That game he didn't. He went 0 for 8 from 3, and then we tried to put Torrey Craig in there. He didn't do shit. And then Ish Wainwright ended up stepping up, and how the Mavs played us. He did. And how the Mavs played us was basically hey, we're going to focus on, locking out Ayton, and removing the paint, and then doubling Booker and Kevin Durant when they get the ball. And then we'll just leave the other two open. In that case, it was Chris Paul that was open all the time. And it was the fifth man, whether it's off the bench, Ish Wainwright, Josh Okogie, whoever. And that's an interesting strategy. We'll see how it works, but
that's always going to be the strategy.
The open man's got to shoot the ball. And I trust Chris Paul from 3. I know he can knock down shots. And the fact that anyone after that game feels like the Suns aren't a contender. I don't know what you're watching, and I feel like you're paying less attention to the actual Suns and more to the narrative of like, if I felt like if we were the Lakers or if we were like some big market team, everyone would be like, oh, they're going to win. They're going to win a championship. The Mavs are a tough team. I hate to break it to everyone. They are a tough team. They have a lot of talent.
They are
on the
not a
offensive
tough
end.
team. They are not a tough team. No,
what do you mean they're not a tough team? Especially when Luka gets the whistle, when he gets 19 free throws, they're a hard team to stop. Are they not? If
Luka gets team to stop, if Luka almost gets 20 free throws
a game,
he always gets those calls. You know what I'm saying? That's what he does. I mean, we saw Skip Bayless called him. He said he'd be bitching all the time. He said that on air.
Right.
Skip ain't never called LeBron or said anything of that term. Well, LeBron, he's been killing LeBron for 20 years. But anywho, Luka always gets the calls. You know what I'm saying? That's how it's always been. But the Dallas Mavericks are not that good. They score a lot of points.
Well-coached team. I think Jason Kidd is a great coach. I think they find holes and they establish a strategy that benefits them, and I think
talking about a bunch of offense.
Good players. I think, Kyrie and Luka are tough.
That don't matter
beat on the front line. Yeah. Well, I'm
not
saying
that if they're not playing defense.
Confident. I'm not saying I don't feel confident against them, but I do think that they are top 6 in the West, and us beating a top 6 in the West team says something to me, And this is only Kevin Durant's 3rd game playing with the Suns, and we're 3-0. And people, what's up, Lily? And people are like just constantly questioning the Suns. I'm like, dude, give us our flowers. I'm sorry. I'm sorry we're not the Lakers. I'm sorry we're not the big market team that all these media personalities want, but it's like so frustrating. Just like you can't give us thanks, Aaliyah. She knows. She understands.
She understands. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't measure. I mean, for one, I do agree with you that people need to just take in the court. You got Kevin Durant. You have a chance to win the chip. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker playing together, looking incredible already. That duo is crazy. So people are already saying y'all don't, or I'm not going to think the Suns will win the chip because of that, or off of that game, are just lying to themselves. Right. At the end of the day, I believe the Suns are a really good team. Can win the chip for one reason. You have Kevin Durant on your team. He is, if not top 3 player in the league. You know what I'm saying? Yep. At any day, maybe best player on the floor. Most of the time, he's the best player on the floor. It's just what it is. And now you got Devin Booker who can get his shot off at any point in time. He plays at his own pace. It's really tough. You know what I'm saying? To look over there and be like, the Suns don't have a championship. Because in my mind, I'm like, if you think the Suns can't win it, who do you think are better than it? And if it's not the Celtics who just lost to the Knicks or the Bucks who lost to the 76ers, I mean, the Nuggets.
I don't know, man.
Come on, man.
It's just like, tell me. It's like when people make these comments, it's like, tell me you ain't watching the Suns games without telling me you ain't watching the Suns games, kind of thing. Like you only know the top 4 players, and that's fine. Like, I don't expect people to know Ish Wainwright or Torrey Craig or like what's coming off our bench. But I'd say our bench is comparable to a lot of the bench out there in the NBA, and to sit there and create that narrative out of thin air that, we are lacking with depth and we don't have defense.
That's what they always do. They always go there. That's just
lazy.
That's the default. When LeBron and Wade and Boss were together, everybody's like, oh, they're good, but look at their bench.
Right.
Bro, no, in the playoffs, in the playoffs, it's 8 people max, maybe 7. You know what I'm saying? The stars are going to play 40 minutes. That's why every time we talk about Chris Paul, we're all like, can he stay healthy throughout the playoffs? Because we know that's all that matters. It don't matter if what the bench looks like for real. We just need one. You just need one or two. You need an Ish Wainwright to step up when he needs to. You need or Torrey Craig or Kogi or whatever, anybody on that team just to make 9 points. You know what I'm saying? 2 big baskets. That's it. You ain't got to do nothing else because KD, Booker, Chris, Ayton are do enough. They'll do enough. You know what I mean?
Right. I don't think we need any help on the offensive side. It's just about who on the defensive side can hold their own We have some good defensive players. I'm starting to realize that Terrence Ross is defensive liability.
Yes.
The man gets picked out and isolated, and that's concerning. But, I'm fine with Torrey Craig. I'm fine with the Ish. I'm fine with the Josh Okogie. Like, those are all three good defensive players, and I'm fine with that depth.
And I would say I don't think Terrence is a liability. It's just he's just the weakest person on the floor on defense.
Yeah.
Ayton's not.
It's bad.
Ayton's good.
It's bad.
Booker, is good on defense. Chris Paul's good on defense. It's really you like, all right, who's the least person? Marcus Smart
and Josh Okogie has been playing amazing defense for real.
Yeah, he's and that's what I'm saying. You guys got the guys. You got some guys that are good, and I feel like that's why I think some of these pundits don't want to lose. For one, they don't want to change their picks. If you picked the Warriors to win it, or the Clippers, or the Nuggets, or the Boston Celtics, no one picked the Suns. So if you're jumping onto the Suns bandwagon and saying they're going to win it, most likely you're a Kevin Durant fan. And you're like, okay, I love Kevin Durant. I believe in Kevin Durant. So I believe the Suns can win it. But other than that, you a Suns fan and you're going for the Suns, or you're a Kevin Durant fan going for the Suns. That is it. There is no in between. There is no gray area. That's it. So I feel like that's why I feel like we're in the same boat. Like, you like Paul George, you like Kawhi, you think the Clippers can do it. You like Ty Lue, you think they do it. If you don't like the Clippers, or you don't like what they're about or what they're bringing to the table, you're not going to believe in them. So I'm a Clipper. I believe we can still win the chip. We put it all together. How we played that fourth quarter, we got played out all the time. Now I'm glad we came back. I'm glad we didn't just throw it away, especially losing to it. If we lost to Memphis with no Ja, no Dylan Brooks, it would have been really bad. I would have been like, this is rock bottom. Right. But I think our two teams are in the middle. We're still chasing chips as much as we go. But I honestly believe the Suns have a closer chance of winning that championship than the Clippers do. And if you're out there and you don't believe that, you tripping.
No doubt.
The Suns are legit.
I mean, in the end, it's basketball, man. Like, these games are going to be close. That's why you see people go out and then they play a good team, and then that good team loses because, it's about, the ups and downs. It's about runs, and sometimes these players that don't get a lot of minutes, they step up and have a really great game, and,
that's all
consistent players.
That's all you need, man. You just need another player. That's why when it came to Russell, everybody's like, man, why did y'all want that? I mean, because I wanted somebody to be a guarantee 12-12. 12-10, 12-9. You know what I mean? I know Russ is going to get 12-9. This man is averaging on the Clippers right now 15, 8, and 4 rebounds in 6 games. You know what I mean? Now, turnovers are pretty high. 26 out of the 6 games he's played.
Yeah, a lot of turnovers.
But
and also just he's going to be able to not going to be able to space the floor, which is a problem.
Yeah.
But I'll let you handle that problem.
Yeah, I mean, and I just don't like the narrative that everybody. To me, I just upset at the narrative. I get upset at people making fun of Russ for the Draymond Green situation, how he was guarding him, and then Draymond was guarded the same way for the Lakers, and no one, clipped that off and look how they're guarding Draymond Green, not just letting him shoot. I mean, there's tons of players that can't shoot in the NBA. That with Rondo was played like that for his whole career. They guarded Rondo like that. Did that ruin Rondo? Did that change the narrative of how good Rondo was because he didn't shoot the 3? Bro, that's not the play. People got to realize that's not the play. The play is not for me to shoot.
It's like our boy Chris Rock said, selective outrage.
It is. Yeah. I didn't finish that though. I got to go back and finish.
I didn't finish it, but yeah.
Bro, I started watching it at like 10:30 because we missed because we had friends over, so we didn't watch it live. Then we watched it live, but we forgot there was a part before, the whole intro to the live. We didn't fast forward because we wanted to see that. Right. So we watched that part and then got halfway through, and I was like dozing off fairly quick. And then I was on next. I try to hold on, but usually if we're trying to watch something together, I usually just turn it off when one of us falls asleep. There's no reason to keep going because I don't like watching stuff twice, especially comedy shows. I don't like watching. Well, what I saw was pretty funny. We'll give a full recap of how we thought about it the next episode when I finish it. but I am excited.
Called him out, but
as he should. I mean, it is what it is. He did get slapped on national TV. I did want to say one thing, that he did do a good job of honing in and not doing any interviews and then perfecting his craft for this moment to do this live. Because I'm not going to lie, it was pretty dope to see a comedy show live where a bunch of people can watch at the same time. I was really trying to think about the last time something like that has happened, where like a comedy show is live and everybody in the world can watch it at the same time, instead of like just like watching the it got released, the release date, or did you watch it by then? I think it was really dope. I don't know what it is, but I love anything live. Live is just like live. Obviously, we would love watching basketball. It's better to watch the game.
You want to see the edited version.
Yeah, it's always the feeling of watching highlights is different from watching the game. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like when people tell me they saw Kobe 81, I'll point out who was the announcer or who did this, and they were like, "Oh, I don't know who the announcer was," or "I don't really know any other details of the Kobe score." I'm like, "Oh, you just watched the highlights. You didn't watch it live. You didn't, you know what I'm saying?"
Yeah. I mean, not everyone has time to watch the full game, but I do like watching the full game. Like when you have the league pass, you can like rewatch the game and then like fast forward through some of the parts. But I do want to see like the missed shots, and I feel like that's typically not covered with YouTube highlights. Because like I want to see the good defense. I want to see like the not so special aspect of the game that kind of gets overshadowed by the highlights.
Highlights. I usually cut highlights, so I know
the defense.
The meat. Oh man, shit. That's what we've connected on. That's what we love. I love the meat and potatoes of basketball. I love the coach's thing. That's why I was just getting ridiculed by my coworkers about saying how like I was telling them Russ wasn't benched. Russ just didn't play because the team on the floor was having a good rhythm and they were playing. They're like, Charles, that's the same thing. I said, no, it's not. To me, as a past high school coach, it's not the same thing. Being benched and not playing because the team is doing well, it's two different things. I feel like when guys on the floor are doing well, they're playing well, we're in the game, I'm not going to disrupt that by bringing somebody else in. When I start seeing some guys starting to, you know what I'm saying? They see something starting to, slack off, then okay, it's time to disrupt what's going on. But I'm not going to say that this player was benched. I didn't bench him. He just wasn't playing well, or I just wanted to try this lineup, and this lineup is working. And if the lineup doesn't start working, I'll bring him back in. But the lineup never stopped working. So benches, I feel like, is always a negative term that I'd never like unless the coach says, hey, this player is not playing at the beginning of the game. Or
you got to keep the hot hand flowing, you got to keep the momentum going. It's all about, like I said, basketball is all about runs, and how someone's feeling that day. You could have someone that, is hitting, Booker will have a 35-point game, and then he'll come back and he'll be like 6 for like 30, So like that happens even to the best players. So sometimes if they're feeling good, the momentum of the game is in their favor, you gotta let it ride.
Yeah, and speaking of runs, CBS Power Rankings have just put the Knicks as number one.
Speaking of who? Russ?
No, the Knicks. They put the Knicks. You said you were speaking of like runs. I was speaking of the runs. The Knicks are on a run. You know what I'm saying? The Knicks have, win streak to 9 games. They just beat the best team. Well,
bro, ain't no one worried about the
Celtics.
Knicks. Relax.
But you know what I'm saying? They went from I know you're not worried about the Knicks. Well, you don't see them at the end, but look at here. That's they look good, man. I don't know if you got to see that game, but the Knicks are legit. I believe the Knicks are legit. I think they might
the Knicks legit, or are the Celtics frauds?
Ooh. I'm gonna go with. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna go with the Knicks are legit. I don't think the Celtics are frauds. I'm not going. Not saying that. I think the Knicks can beat the Cavs in the first round. And
that's not saying much.
After that, I know that's not saying much, but still, that's legit. You know what I'm saying? I think they legit. I watched that game, quickly went crazy. They beat the Boston Celtics without Jalen Brunson. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. That's I mean, look
I think they got a lot of players that have talent, but are just a little bit inconsistent. Like RJ Barrett, for one, is very inconsistent. But when he's hitting, he's top 10 guard in the league. Maybe
But
that's
wait,
a little far-fetched. Top 20.
Top 20. Woo. But I need you to answer your own question.
Huh.
Do you think the Knicks are legit or Celtics frauds?
I think that the Celtics. I think the Celtics are a good team, but they are beatable. Like I think if you shut Tatum down, like I'm not worried about the rest of the team. To be honest, I don't think I'm worried about Al Horford. Jaylen Brown is solid. He's really good, but I'm not saying that. I don't think he's the consistent player that everyone thinks he is. And then beyond that, like I'm not too worried. I don't think anyone really stands out. Like Derek White, Marcus Smart, they're all good like role players, but like they're not getting you to the Eastern Conference Final alone. So I think it's just about how well Jason Tatum is playing. Is Jason Tatum going to get you 40 every night? Then
you think he needs to score 40 every night to win the chip?
No. What I'm saying is that he needs to like put up big numbers for them to win the Eastern Conference Finals, because you can't solely rely. You can't rely on Jaylen Brown to pick up to carry the team if Jason Tatum is having an off night.
You're not. I mean,
like I'm not as intimidated from that 1-2 as everyone else is personally. Like I'm more intimidated by the Bucks because I think Jason Tatum is really good. I think Jaylen Brown is good, but they're not a Giannis. Like Giannis like stands out and
scary.
He's near impossible to guard.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Luka. Like Luka is near impossible to guard. I don't think Jason Tatum is impossible to guard, and this is hard to say because I'm from St. Louis and I'm a big Jason Tatum fan. But like I'm saying that
with
Jason
the St. Louis shirt on. Yeah,
I'm saying he can be locked down. I'm just saying like it's hard. Like you have to contain Giannis. You have to contain Luka. You can actually like I can see people locking up Tatum, for a couple games in a series. I'm not saying that throughout the whole series, but he's due for a couple bad games. Giannis is just not on that same level. I feel like there's players like you have KD, you have Luka, you have Giannis, and you have Embiid, right? And that's that level. Jokic, yeah, sorry. That's that level. And then down below is where the Jason Tatums, Jaylen Browns, Paul Georges are, Devin Bookers are. And I think that's the clear difference between, the Celtics and the Bucks, and then the Suns and the Nuggets. I feel like the Celtics don't have a tier 1 superstar. But maybe I'm just overanalyzing or speculating, and I mean they're a good team. I'm just trying to like. It's hard to grade such a good team, but we're there. Like we're in the top. So
we're analyzing.
Something.
It makes sense. He did have a few duds against the Warriors after they won Game 1, and then he just got to become more consistent. He's young. That's the only thing I always throw it at. He's the youngest out of all the people we named. Those 5 guys you named in the top tier, I want to say he's the youngest. He might be. Luka might be
Booker around the same age. I think he's 20.
Yeah.
Jason 25, or how old is he?
Yeah, he's 25. And then Luka's 24. 26. So Luka's younger than that. Before we, get on out of here, you know what I'm saying? First, I want to say when we're recording this, it is Ghana Independence Day. So I want to say happy good day. Oh my gosh, I just burped in the middle of that. I am so sorry. Happy 65th Independence Day to the homeland, Ghana. I love you. Ain't nothing more than that. Always can't wait to get back out there in about a year or so and bring this man with me. You know what I'm saying?
Down. Let's get it.
So, but that I know I wanted to get that out there. But other than that, man, I hope y'all just keep winning. I hope we keep winning. Let's get this. Clippers are on a 5-game homestead. Got 4 more at home. Hopefully we go on a nice little 5-game win streak to get back out of the play-in, because that's where we at right now, which is nasty and don't want to be in. But yeah, any last words from the Suns fan, Josh?
Yeah, I'm keeping my receipts, bitch.